The Atlantic and Indian Oceans meet at the southern tip of Africa. So that people can learn about this diverse marine life, the Two Oceans Aquarium was opened in 1995. It has more than 8,000 marine animals from over 200 species. I must add that many of the design features came from the Monterey Bay Aquarium in Monterey, California. The first exhibit we saw are these western clownfish. Interestingly, they live in a symbiotic relationship with anemones. Most fish avoid anemones because of stinging cells in their tentacles, but the clownfish is coated with a protective mucus which allows it to swim freely in and around the anemone. The clownfish is protected from predators by the anemone, and in turn, the clownfish protects the anemone from predators that eat anemones. Interestingly, I found that the clownfish can also change sex. They go from male to female. This interesting fish tank is kind of like a donut, and there's a big empty space in the center, and children can climb underneath and then pop up and have the fish all around them. Pretty cute. Instead of sea otters like they have in Monterey, we've got local penguins. Okay, here are some more African penguins. These guys are just hanging around. Now I did learn that this doesn't look like a penguin, but it's an African oyster catcher. And we've got a nice wave coming in here so they feel right at home. Another beautiful display. There's one of the fish that's in there. There's another one. There's a whole bunch, of course. The Predator exhibit holds almost 530,000 gallons of seawater that they pumped in from the harbor. It's home to a variety of predatory cool water species, ranging from large carnivores like ragged-toothed sharks and giant cod to mid-sized crustacean hunters such as spotted grunters. The bottom of the ocean food chain is also present, with schools of scavenging mullet and streppy doing their best to get to the scraps left behind by others. Qualified scuba divers are allowed in the pool in their new Predator exhibit diving experience. Behind him, we've got these guys and a whole school of those guys.
They've been around twice.
These people are playing kayak polo. It's a game described as a combination of water polo, basketball, and canoeing, and uses a water polo ball. The first references of the origin of this game is in an English newspaper in 1880. It describes a game played on the docks of Scotland. The men used wooden barrels and sat in saddles, helping themselves with an oar play the ball in play, imitating traditional polo, which is played on horseback. It's evidently not very different from basketball or water polo, but with the added complexity of the kayaks, which are excellent shields to protect the ball. Is played both in indoor and outdoor fields in several countries. There's even a world championship tournament every 2 years. Who knew? Rightfully so. South Africa is very proud of their 4 Nobel Peace Prize winners, and they have a square dedicated to them here at the Victoria and Alfred waterfront. Here's a typical Dutch style drawbridge. These animals were spotted in front of the African trading post at the Victoria and Alfred waterfront. Differing from the drawbridge, this is a swing bridge. It's for pedestrians and it swings open to let small sailing crafts pass by. This is a pretty clever idea to take pictures of where you're at. This is a pretty interesting stairway, and Stu evidently thought this was a neat sign. He took a picture of it, and our next stop was Shemansky Jewelers. Their Diamond Museum tour took us from the creation of diamonds at the center of the earth to the mine and eventually to the completed polished stone. Evidently, the first diamond engagement ring was in 1477, and then in 1939 they came up with the 4 C's. And Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend was introduced by Carol Channing in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes in 1949. The end of the tour, of course, dropped us off in their jewelry showroom. This was a grain silo, and they were going to implode them, and someone had the idea of utilizing them, and this is what they've done. They're still working on it. It's pretty cool. It's the Zeitz Museum of Contemporary Art, Africa. There's 80 gallery spaces from 42 grain silos. Our next stop was Kirstenbosch Gardens. They place a strong emphasis on cultivating indigenous plants. This garden was founded in 1913 to preserve the flora native to South Africa. The garden includes a large conservatory exhibiting plants from a number of different regions in South Africa. Outdoors, the focus is on plants native to the Cape region, highlighted by a spectacular collection of proteas, the national flower. Here's a beautiful protea, and here's another one that's red-orange.
It's not actually the fruit.
Fig.
The flower becomes the fruit. So what happens is every fig has an opening because insects have to go in and pollinate it. So all the forest fig trees will have the same shape opening.
These are clivias.
One of my favorite plants.
They're very pretty. Now we're going to go across the bridge.
A bulbous sort of root.
The tree canopy walkway takes a visitor from the forest floor into and through the trees and above the canopy, giving spectacular panoramic vistas. This walkway opened in 2014 and is 420 feet long and raises visitors to 40 feet above the ground. Here's the bird of paradise, which is a native of South Africa. It gets its name from the fact that its flower is made of 3 bright orange petals and 3 blue petals, which are fused together in a single bud. As the flower blooms, each petal makes its debut, and the resulting shape mirrors that of a tropical bird in flight. This daisy is indigenous to southeastern Africa. In addition to enjoying plants, this is a good place for a picnic, hiking, and even enjoying a summer sunset concert. There's also a garden center that sells indigenous plants.